Hey everybody, thank you for joining me once again. And tonight I wanted to go ahead and talk about something a little more vulnerable for me. So it's going to be quite a longer video than normal, but I wanted to talk about my my loss of faith. Or the God that I was raised I was raised in after my mom had died. And you see, growing up, my mom and I didn't really get along very well. Primarily because being a child, I did not understand what she was going through, what she was having to deal with. And I expected one thing and didn't realize the bigger picture of the situation. My mom hustled. She had to do what she had to do to make sure that her kids were taken care of, as much as she could. And there were certain aspects of her daily ins and outs that I didn't understand. But as I got older and I was able to reflect on the relationship my mother and I had, I just wanted her to be a mom. But, she had to go out and make sure that we were taken care of. So I'm not going to go into detail with regard to what was done. Just know that my mom did what she had to do to make a living. My mom was a G on that end. Now I see that piece that she did. So, but being my mom probably was not easy. Growing up again, I realized a lot of this as I continued to get older, and as I continued to reach the milestones within her own life. Being 26, 27, having 5 kids. And the year I turned 33 was a huge year for me, because it was the year that my mother died, the year how old she was when she passed away. I can't put shit into perspective for me. At that moment when I was 33, I didn't have my shit together. And my mom had 7 kids by then. And I can't even imagine what she was dealing with, with all the stuff that she had to go through in her own life. And the situation with my dad and her boyfriend and all that stuff, my mother's boyfriend, shot my father. And she had to live through that, I can't even imagine how that was, And the night that she had died, we had a family gathering at my uncle's house, my Theo Jr., who has now since passed on as well. But he took us in. He took in me, my two brothers, and my baby sister. And shout out to Sunday. I know she's still with us. How you doing, Sunday? I love you. All the crazy talks we used to have, yeah? Nuts, huh? But yeah, there was a gathering at my Uncle Junior's house, and, all the kids were there, and it was, I don't remember if it was because my little nephew was born, baby Isaac, or, what, I don't remember what it was for, but my mother had shown up too, her boyfriend at the time, and I was excited to see her because it was a while since we saw her. And during this family gathering, her and I just got into a big, huge conversation about, just, before that time, she only told me that I can recall in my life once that she had loved me, and that night, I kind of called her on that, and I was like, you only told me once in my whole life that you ever loved me, and then her and I had some conversation, and she was able to tell me for the last time that she loved me. So it was intense, and I think that it was needed to be out there, because, there was a reason why I had said it. I was 15 at the time, and teenagers, right? We think we know everything, you know. They think they know everything too, even now. Whew. At any rate, yeah, you know, and me and my mom used to argue quite a bit, so to have her actually tell me that was fulfilling for me. And that was the last time I ever saw her. I remember the night that it happened. I was in my bedroom, and my bedroom was the closest one to the main door. And I remember banging on the door, and it was like midnight or something like that. And I woke up, and I was like, I answered the door, and there's my nephew's mother standing there with 2 police officers behind her, and she's sobbing in tears. And she looks at me and just starts crying and goes to the back to where my uncle and Sunday were, to their room, and tells them what happened. And the rest of the night was kind of a blur. I remember I don't remember how they told me, but I remember someone told me that my mother had died. And I just ran to the front of the room, fell to my knees, and just started praying. You know, growing up, I was very, very, very religious. I was raised Pentecostal by my grandmother. We went to church 3 times a week, you know, Wednesdays and twice on Sundays. My grandmother was very religious, as was I. I was very religious growing up. And I was really into my studies at that time, you know. And I just fell to my knees, and I just cried and cried and cried and cried. And then I remember if it was, my youth pastor, my foster mom and dad came and picked me up, and I had to go have some prayer. I ran, honestly. I didn't know what else to do. You know, the kids were being taken care of by the adults at the house, and I just had no idea what to do. I think I was in shock, you know. And that was, although I fell to my knees in prayer, you know, as the months progressed, I began to lose my faith more and more and more in this God that I believed in, you know. I think at the moment it served its purpose for sure. But I began to question a lot of my beliefs. And I began to question a lot of why. You know, that's when I began to ask God why he allowed this to happen to us, you know. And people would say, oh, it's because, you know, you were a stronger spirit or whatever the case is. And I'm like, why the hell would I choose this shit for my life? Why would I? Why would I choose to go through such heartache? You know, it doesn't make any sense. Then why would a God see that we've already lost, like, our father in such a tragic way, allow us to lose our mother the same? So, yeah, I just began to question everything about my beliefs and everything about this God that I learned throughout my course of life, you know. And yeah, I began to learn about other religions at this point, you know, and other spiritual beliefs. And yeah, I kind of just stepped away from everything, and I acted out, wild out, you know, and I just didn't care anymore. I didn't think that there was a God at that point, you know. And then 3 months later, this God takes my grandmother too. The only other woman that I had in my life that was a mother figure my entire life. Now, my grandmother was extremely religious, and she I know she was happy to go home to her God. I definitely know that, to see her sisters and her long lost loved ones, and yeah, but for me it was heartache. And at that point I lost all desire to be a part of my church at that point. And I just started learning about all kinds of different things, My faith was shaken. And fast forward 2 years, I managed to graduate high school. Kept busy with sports, but nothing really gave me happiness after that. After my mom and my grandma both passed, And they were so close to each other, and that was hard. But yeah, I just lost my faith in God, and the God that we learned about was a lot of hellfire and brimstone, And it was like, no matter what you did, you're going to hell. And that's how I always felt. So I was like, I need to find a God or a deity that is more loving and caring. And in my first semester in college, I decided to take history and philosophy of religion. And this class just interested me completely. Because I know there's something out there, a deity, whether it be God or the God that I believe in or something else. There has to be a loving place that I can find this God, right? So I started learning more and more and more about other religions, Taoism, Buddhism, Judaism, Christianity, with what I already knew, and Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. And I remember them being there and me just questioning, like, their message. And the one thing that caught my eye with them was their God was loving and caring and understanding. It's not something that I was used to growing up, And I bear testimony of the church at that time that it served its purpose for me as well. But so I lost faith there for a while in my life when I was really, I was a Bible thumping Pentecostal, holy roller tongue speaking, like it was lit, as the kids would say now, And when I found the LDS church, I found a loving God and a loving deity that understood that I'm simply human and not to just cut me off, And yeah, so it took a while for me to get back into that. I was about 18, 17 when I got baptized. But because I didn't have parents, I didn't have anyone to ask. So I made the decision on my own to get baptized after taking the discussions and having my own testimony of the church. But yeah, I lost my faith there for a while. But I remember when the sisters met, of course, me being a hard ass, I had to ask all the hard questions to everything, right? But the second discussion was a turning point for me. After the second discussion, the sisters asked me to go home and pray about it, right? And I did. I diligently did. I really wanted to find something that was loving and caring and able to, something I can thrive in, somewhere I could have faith again and hope again, that I could meet or see my family again, that they're not in hell burning and for all eternity. No, I just don't believe in that. There's just too much evidence otherwise, That hell is something that you put your own self into. But I'm not here to debate religion or beliefs or tenets of religions. These are my beliefs and what I was going through at that moment. So if your beliefs differ, I'm not trying to say they're wrong or not. Those are your beliefs. You believe in them. You believe in your own truth. And at that moment, the truth that I needed was the LDS Church. I went home and I prayed about it. I must have read at least over 150 pages of the Book of Mormon. I've read the Book of Mormon twice, and Doctrine and Covenants. I've read that as well. I've done a lot of research on the LDS religion before I joined it, because I wanted to make sure that it was right for me. But when I was headed back home from softball practice, I used to take the bus, and I would just look outside. Anyone knows me, like, I love looking in the sky. I love the clouds. I love even the stars at night. Like, I've always loved looking in the sky. And I was just looking, and I saw this figure holding a long trumpet. No wings, just a long trumpet. And that was weird for me, because in my previous religion, angels had wings. So I was like, this is an angel. What is this? So in my third discussion, I talked to the sisters about it. And Sister Ketterman and Sister Dunbar, my sisters, Sister Ketterman just dropped, like, what? Like, she knew what that angel was. It was Angel Moroni. And I've never seen anything like that before in my life. And I was like, wow, all right, this is a sign. For some reason, I'm being directed to this religion, so I need to heed this warning, right? Like I said, I was spiritual. I didn't have faith in the religion that I was in because of my own issues with God and losing my parents and my grandmother and everyone that loved me or cared for me at that moment, were gone. And so when I heard about the religion, and I saw Angel Moroni, and we prayed about it again if I should join the church. And after my fourth discussion, it was decided, yeah, I'm going to join the church. So I did join the church, but being of someone who had gay tendencies, I had a second interview, and I was able to pass and be baptized in the church. And it was wonderful. I learned so much, and I was surrounded by such loving people and understanding people that it felt right, it felt wonderful. I worked hard to get my patriarchal blessing, which I did receive, and I went and did baptisms for the dead. And I was very engulfed in the church because I finally found a deity who was loving, like I said. So that's my testimony of the church, and it taught me a lot, and it's what got me out here to Utah. I came back to visit my sister missionary out of the MTC, and I was able to find 3 jobs in 2 weeks. So I made a financial decision to stay because I couldn't get the kind of job, the kind of money out here that I was getting out in Cali. Legally, I couldn't. Illegally, that's easy. But I don't want to be locked up, So that's kind of my journey from, my mother and my grandmother passing away, and then I kind of just turned inward to try and find some understanding of why God would do this to us, or to me, because I was always about wanting to understand just why. Why did it happen to us? But I knew that one day, with the teachings of the LDS religion, is that I would be able to at least teach my family about the religion when I died, and help them see the gospel. And they didn't believe in actual hell, it was a different kingdoms. And you guys can all Google this information. This is what it meant for me, is that I would have an opportunity to see my family again versus just not seeing them ever. Now, again, I'm spiritual. I don't have any specific beliefs, karma, doing good unto others. But that's when I lost my faith for the very first time that I could ever remember. And it was hard to come back from it, you know. So yeah, I just want to talk about that tonight. Just put it out there, you know. That was me. So guess the message is, you know, although you may lose your faith, times will come when that happens. But stay steady in your search for truth and knowledge. And as long as you are knowledgeable with regard to your own truth, then no one can take that away from you. You know, and I could go on and on about the history of religion and philosophy, of all the tenets that I've learned. And I love religion. I love talking about it. I love the history about it. I love the fact that we can trace, like, I mean, it all goes back to aliens for me, right? I'm even wearing my alien shirt. But anyways, I digress. Let me get back on topic of faith and understanding that your faith is for you to find whatever that may be. I lost mine for a minute. And it really encouraged me and pushed me to learn more and more and more about other religions and the history of it. It was just, yeah. But yeah, I'm glad that my mother and I had that last moment together before she was taken, you know. So, at any rate, thank you so very much for those of you who have stuck with me through this video. I appreciate it. And remember, stay strong, stay blessed. Never give up, even when you lose faith. Don't give up, because there's some truth out there for you. Learn about it. Don't just throw up your hands and say, well, nothing's real. Even if you're atheist, you know, I mean, that's your choice. But at least you did your research on it, you know. So it is what it is. Yeah. So keep going. Never give up. Stay strong. Stay present. Stay blessed. Peace.